This is Weirdly Enough, your regular podcast for strange stories and amazing facts, delivered straight to your favorite podcast directory and at weirdlyenough.com. Now, here are your hosts, Andy and Len.
Well, nobody was expecting that, but yes, we're finally back again after all that's happened over the last few months, the lockdown and all of that coronavirus. And you know what I was thinking? Do you remember that Christmas special of Father Ted back in the 90s where they're trapped in the lingerie section?
That happened to me recently, actually.
Did it? I'm sure. Yeah, well, that's what you said.
It was now an ass. I do have a legitimate explanation.
All right. There was one of the priests had this like really intensely boring voice, and they were wanting to make a public address system announcement, but because he had such a boring voice, they had another priest that had a really exciting, dynamic voice, and they used him. Coronavirus has meant that finally those people with the boring voices are having the last laugh. Those guys, they haven't worked more in their lives than during the last few months. They pop up on local radio all the time saying things like, we all must do this to get through it, and wash your hands. Just wash your hands. Tell you what, their day has come. Their day's finally come.
Stay safe.
Oh yeah. But locksmiths are getting the credit they finally deserved as well. I really, finally kudos to locksmiths. Every Thursday, people were standing outside on their doorsteps applauding key workers. Thank you. I'll be here all week. Yeah, so it's the Andy and Len show post lockdown number 1. I think it's safe to say post the first one. We're back together again.
We've been dodging the Miley Cyrus for a few months.
Yeah, and people did say to us, why don't you do it over Zoom, and you can do this and you can use technology, but we just felt it just wasn't the right time to be doing this, and we'd rather take a bit of a hiatus and a bit of a backseat. Sorry, I'm going to turn my mic up a bit. I think it's just because you're sitting quite close.
I'm sick of Zoom.
Pull away a bit.
Oh.
Yeah, that's better there. Yeah, Zoom and Teams and WebEx. That's the one you don't really hear about now. And Skype. What's happened to Skype? It's
that really annoying noise you get with Skype.
Oh, the thing of nightmares. Yeah. So and people have also said to us, oh, you must really talk about all the conspiracy theories surrounding coronavirus and all this, and it's caused by 5G, or it's this, or it's that, or it's.
I'm sick of hearing about COVID-19. I want a break from it.
The reality is, a lot of people have died around the UK, around the world, and we have to respect the friends and family of those affected. So talking about conspiracy theories surrounding coronavirus isn't what we're here for, and isn't what we're going to do. So,
I think it's been done anyway.
Yeah, I'm sure it has.
And we're supposed to take quite a light kind of, well, not humorous approach as such, but it's meant to be a bit of escapism.
Yes. You might hear a bit of road noise. We're recording this with the window open because it's quite warm.
It's sweltering.
Yeah, it's the first day of summer. I think.
I think we've had almost 19 degrees today, which in this country constitutes a heat wave, I would say.
Yeah, in London they're getting it 34 or something, which I'm glad I'm not there. Really. So what's our topic this week?
The Mandela Effect.
Oh, as in Nelson.
Yes, it is. Do you want to hear about where the name comes from?
Yeah. Well, where does the name come from?
Well, there's a lady in South Africa called Fiona Broom, and in 2009 she set up a website because what had happened was she thought Nelson Mandela had died.
Right.
And she remembered him dying in prison in the 1980s. And she became quite obsessed with that idea, even though he was on the TV, like he was alive.
Yes.
But she definitely had a memory.
And she has a memory of the news items and things of that being reported. Is that
yeah. So she set up, and then obviously he did die in real life.
Right.
And it was kind of strange. Yeah. It was almost like deja vu, but not deja vu, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So she set up a website to sort of, almost like a blog, to kind of just talk about it. And she says, she reached out to other people and she said, is anybody else experiencing the same phenomenon with famous figures?
Yeah.
And she suddenly was deluged by people, and it became like rapidly, because of social media, like a bit of an online phenomenon.
Not just a trickle, but a deluge.
A deluge,
Things, yeah.
Now, it subdivides. There's different types of Mandela Effect. There's spelling errors for everyday words that are different. People remember them being different. And then celebrity names.
Of course, back in like Shakespeare's times and stuff,
This is it.
there was no such thing as spelling. You just wrote it down as you thought it was.
There's weird ones. It's like
The bourgeoisie concept spelling. That's what I told the teachers.
It definitely.
Excuse me.
It's very bourgeois. Apparently, there's a phenomenon of people misspelling Barbra Streisand's first name as Barbara, which was so common. She actually once released an album entitled "My Name Is Barbra," which actually referenced to that.
Right.
So this apparently is a whole big thing.
Right. I never realised it was different.
It's a thing to the point that Barbra Streisand actually picked up on it, and she wrote.
Do you remember that song?
She did an
about,
album that referenced that.
Barbra Streisand. You remember that?
Oh yes. Yeah, was it a dance head?
Yes, I think so.
And there's weird ones as well. Like apparently a lot of people think. Do you remember the wee chap that defied the tanks in Tiananmen?
Oh yes.
In 1989.
Uh-huh.
I remember him being run over, and lots of people remember him being run over, but that's not the case.
No.
That's like a false memory, and I don't know where that comes from.
Uh-huh. Well, not on camera anyway. I'm sure he was.
I'm
sure something happened to him.
It was probably hauled
after.
away, And there's weird things like the human body. Such now, I really don't get this. Apparently, some people remember bone being a thing behind your eye.
Right.
But there's obviously not bone behind your eye. But a lot of people remember being taught that there's bone behind your eye. Apparently, this is a thing.
Yeah.
There's weird ones. The position of the Earth in the Milky Way, with some claiming that the Earth has moved from the Sagittarius arm to the Orion arm.
Right.
People get confused with the number of states in the United States.
How many are there? Is it 50? Or is it 51?
50. Oh, that's a good point. Because people could know that. I think
there was a film a while back called
51st.
51st State, so it must be 50.
So it must be 50.
Yeah.
Because people often call the UK the 51st state.
Yeah.
Because we're so Americanised.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of ones here. I'll not go through the whole list because we'll be here all day. But there's quite. Now, here's one that gets me: sex and the city.
Yeah.
Now, I always say sex in the city.
Right.
But it's not called that. It's called sex and the city. But
Okay.
I've often remembered it as sex in the city.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And here's a weird one which I'm not sure about. I'd have to kind of actually look this up. "We Are the Champions" by Queen
Yeah.
ends differently than you think it does. Many of those familiar with the song remember the final lyrics being, like me, I remember this. "No time for losers, 'cause we are the champions. Pause. Of the world." But that's not the case.
Right.
Apparently there is no "of the world." Apparently the song just ends. But I definitely
Of the world.
I would stake my life on that.
I know.
And then there's the Monopoly man, Rich Uncle Pennybags. He has a monocle, but apparently he doesn't have a monocle.
Who, the Monopoly guy?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I always remember him having a monocle, but he doesn't have a monocle.
Is it the Pringles guy has the monocle?
No, it's Mr. Peanut, the Planters
right.
Peanut mascot.
Right.
And so on and so on.
You're a Kool-Aid guy.
Yeah. You put a meme or something up the other day, didn't you?
About Kool-Aid guy saying, "Oh yeah, no, he doesn't have a monocle. Of course he doesn't. He's a jug."
Interview with the Vampire isn't called Interview with a Vampire. It's actually Interview with the Vampire.
The vampire, right? Okay.
The Queen in Snow White never said "Mirror, mirror on the wall." Never said it.
Right.
There's this is endless. Life isn't like a box of chocolates. It seems the majority of people remember Forrest Gump stating that his mama always said, "Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get."
So what actually did he say?
He says he said life was like a box of chocolates.
Well, it's kind of semantics. It's just one word.
I know, but still, I remember the Mandela Effect. So it just. Do you have any personal ones you can think of? If not, that's alright. Like,
I can't really think of anything now, but I do. It's sometimes when somebody dies, and you think, "Oh, I thought they were already dead." You know, you hear it in the news. Quite a morbid thing, really. But yeah, you get that. You kind of go, But it's not really worth doing a podcast about. It's just something you thought. You know, unless tens of thousands of people thought that Mandela was dead.
Yeah.
Then that is a bit of a kind of a weird.
Apparently, people did think he was dead.
Yeah.
I get this all the time. You say when celebrities die, like it happens all the time. Like when Bob Hope died.
Yeah.
I've kind of thought, well, did he not die years ago?
Yeah, so did I. When did he die?
I'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
I'd have to. I switched my smartphone off, but yeah, I even find it with films. Like if you ever reread books, sometimes
2003.
you kind of remember things differently.
Yes.
And you kind of think, well, is that the Mandela Effect? But there's another one. Apparently said James Bond never said the name's Bond. James Bond. He said people remember him saying the name's Bond, James Bond, but now he says my name is Bond,
right?
James Bond, and he's never said that.
Yeah.
But everybody remembers it differently.
So do scientists have any explanation for why the brains think this way?
Well, I'll go for a few wee ideas in a wee second, but there's just before I do, there's one that you might have. You're a Ron Burgundy fan, aren't you?
Sort of, yes.
You've kind of referenced that, yeah.
I like Ron Burgundy. I've started listening to the Ron Burgundy podcast, which people rave about, and really it'd be best left in the movie, I think, you know?
Well, there's the one that people often do in memes, and people remember Ron Burgundy saying, well, that escalated quickly.
Yeah,
but apparently he doesn't say it. He says, boy, that escalated quickly.
Right. But it's as well in the thing.
But there's different.
And then there's that meme of what comes Sean Bean.
Yes.
And it's kind of it's from Game of Thrones or something. And it's one simply does not do such and such.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's like and you kind of wonder, do they ever actually say that in Game of Thrones? But maybe it's his catchphrase, because I've never watched a single Game of Thrones.
That could be a bit of Mandela Effect.
Yeah.
Could well be. Now there's different explanations. Some people think it's to do with the Hadron Collider.
Oh right, it started happening when that was turned on.
Well, the idea is that it opened the temporal rifts that caused us all to start sliding between different universes. So in one universe, it could be life is like a box of chocolates.
Yeah.
And in another universe, you could pop into another universe where it says life was like a box of chocolates. You know, so you slip in between. I mean, there's some crazy bloke that came across. Well, he had this kind of mad theory that, you know, when people talked about in 2012 it was supposed to be the end of the world.
Yeah.
His theory was that the world actually ended in 2012.
Right.
And we're all dead.
We're all. Oh yeah, we're part of a simulation.
Yeah, we're sort of. It ties into, you know, maybe a topic for a future podcast, and there's like glitches in the matrix.
Yeah.
And kind of things going slightly wrong. That's why things are kind of changing, you know. There is like proper scientific stuff. Psychologists think it could be a very common sort of false memory syndrome.
Yeah.
Now it's a bit complicated, but I mean, there's a neuroscience explanation apparently, where memories for things like that is encoded in an area of the brain where the memories for similar things are stored, and that's how things kind of get confused. I don't want to go into science because it's a bit beyond me.
When have we ever gone into science before?
You know, and you know, we're not really. I don't think we're really up to sort of the infinite monkey cage standards in this podcast.
I started researching a topic that I want to do next week. I'm not going to talk about it now, but
yes,
it involves like Higgs boson type stuff.
Yes,
and I started to try and put it into like layman's language, and then I realized I have no idea what low entropy states are and what.
Yeah.
I just
you see, that's the problem. I mean, you see, when you start to research different topics, you know, you find some are very interesting, but they're so insanely complicated.
Yeah.
There's no way of kind of translating that.
Yes.
Into like a 20-minute podcast, you know, especially when you don't really understand it yourself. You know. So yes, the Mandela Effect.
Mandela Effect. It's very interesting. Yes.
It is, yes.
Yes.
But it's again the Mandela Effect. It's a vast subject, you know, and it kind of ties into other things, you know.
If you can think of any examples of the Mandela Effect, do get in touch. I've forgotten our email address. It's that long. Is it podcast@weirdlyenough.com?
I think it is.
We're on Facebook somewhere. We're on Twitter as well. I can't remember what it was.
We're gonna have to like dust it all off.
Let's see, Twitter. I think it was Weirdly Enough PC for podcast.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're on there. Search for us on Facebook, of course. Send us a message. Yeah, have you experienced anything that you think is to do with the Mandela Effect? Yeah, I'm on here. Let's see. Weirdly Enough. Yeah, Weirdly Enough PC is our Twitter handle. We're also on Facebook. Just search for Weirdly Enough Podcast. I'll be back in a mo with a few snippets. So have you heard this one doing the rounds of social media? An Australian man has pranked his ex-girlfriend by plastering posters around the city of Cairns asking folks to call up with their best Chewbacca impressions to win $100. Of course, the number belonged to his ex-girlfriend Jessica, who said, "I'm getting phone calls at really strange hours of the night, about 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock. It did get slightly out of hand though when the guy dumped his old car in the driveway minus the wheels. So of course the cops are now involved.
Is Chewbacca the one that kind of goes? Arr!
Yeah,
It's like a big hairy geyser, isn't it?
Yeah, some people are really good at the impressions of it. I've never seen Star Wars.
I don't. Could you be bad at that?
What?
I mean, presumably if you have a voice box, you can like make the noise like.
It's a kind of a funny noise.
Am I being naive like or?
Yeah.
I'm not really. I have literally never actually sat through a whole Star Wars film.
No, somebody took me to see that one with Jar Jar Binks once, and that was dreadful.
Is that? Do you know what confuses me? It's the numbering, because they started making them again.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like continuing on. It was like skipping back or something.
Yeah, I know.
And then they started like numbering them in a really random way, like, you know. So it just totally confusing.
I'm sure we've talked about this on radio shows in the past, but Flying Ant Day is a big thing. It's that one day, and people always say, "Oh, it's Flying Ant Day today." But apparently, the Royal Society of Biology say it's often not just one day, as flying ants can be spotted almost every day of the summer between June and September.
Was there not a big thing in the media recently about flying ants or killer bees or something like that? There's going to be some sort of invasion.
Well, that's what I saw here. But this is back just on Thursday. A swarm of the creepy crawlies so large it was picked up by the Met Office's weather satellites. The swarm measured 50 miles wide, with other smaller swarms spotted throughout England. It's hard to say. Smaller swarms spotted. Yeah, throughout England. So yeah. It was a thing.
Yeah.
Lots of swarms. And I know a lot of people got very frustrated during lockdown. They got to the stage where they needed to release some sort of primal scream. Did you do that? Did you go out and scream anywhere?
I actually did.
Did you?
But
Where?
it wasn't like a primal scream. It wasn't. You see, I'm pretty low testosterone, to be honest.
Right.
So it wasn't. It was more kind of like, I remember now. Admittedly, it was probably under the influence of alcohol.
Okay.
But I emitted a sort of howl of primal despair into a pillow. So it was kind of like it wasn't like the alpha male approach of like a proper howling at the moon. It was more of a kind of beta male. If even that.
And I'm pleased you've talked about that on the podcast. But the
I'd probably love to regret that. But
the Tourist Board of Iceland have latched on to the idea by placing large speakers in remote areas throughout the country and allowing people over the internet to send their screams out into the wilderness. So you can, I don't know, it must be an app. It's always an app these days. You can go on and scream into it, and it's then broadcast through these speakers in remote Iceland.
Howling into the void.
The Tourist Board of Iceland said, "You've been through a lot this year and it looks like you need the perfect place to let your frustrations out. Somewhere big, vast and untouched." Interestingly, Iceland has remained relatively unscathed during the pandemic, with less than 2,000 cases and only 10 confirmed deaths. So there you are, they got off pretty well.
You know where we got off very lightly as well? The Isle of Man.
Yeah. And of course, North Korea, they had no cases of it.
Is that not because as soon as you get a bit of a sniffle, they just drag you off and shit you?
I assume so. The thing I love about North Korea, and this is a fact that people may not know this much, but and this is something that astounds me. The leader of North Korea climbed Everest in a suit and dress shoes.
What, like 29,000 feet?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he did it in a bit of a morning.
In the morning?
Yeah, he just
But do you not like need base camps and stuff? Does not take it just to get up?
It's because he's pretty cool.
Is it? Yeah.
He's a good guy. He also is the only human being ever to score 18 holes in one during a single golf game.
He's a man of remarkable talents.
18 holes in one.
He's almost as talented as we are.
Kim Jong-un?
I got confused
I
between
think
the Kim
Il
Jongs.
was the one that got so ill he died, so then it became Kim Jong-un, who's
Yeah.
maybe dead because he's only about 29, but
And there's the rumour that he died and his sister took over.
yeah, maybe she's dressed up as him. But all that went away. That's something we could do on Weirdly Enough, because that was a big thing about 6 weeks ago. The whole North Korea, where's the leader? And it's all just disappeared. It was a big thing for like a few days, and then it just vanished.
So it's all about the news cycle because there's stuff happening all the time.
Yeah.
But you're only seeing some of the stuff. If that makes any sense, like, yeah.
Wasn't there a day back in, I think it was the early 50s, when I don't know whether it was radio news or TV news. It might have been actually back in the 20s in radio news.
Yeah.
They come on and said, nothing's happened today.
Nothing's happened, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, literally nothing happened.
But of course, you probably get days like that these days, but they'll rake something up. They'll find something. The greatest is those kind of local newspapers that are online now. They're usually called live.
Yeah.
And some of this, you think that's a story? Really? That's something that you're spending time on?
You say the live things, they're just glorified clickbait.
They are clickbait.
You know, they're right up there with, are you a dad born between 1975 and 19 whatever?
Yeah.
Here's an insurance secret you might want to know.
Yeah.
You know, that's that sort of thing, like, you know.
One of the ones on one of those live sites that I saw the other day was this fat naked man running out of his house because he thought his niece had been abducted by somebody in a van driving down the road, and he came running out and he fell and all. So his father, after they found the niece and she was all right and everything, his father looked through CCTV footage of him running down the street and decided to stick it up on the socials for a laugh. And I'm thinking, for a laugh, you mean this man would completely, you know, throw his dignity out the window to save a member of his family, to run off down the street to save this child, and you're thinking, oh, it's hilarious. Look at him naked and he's falling over on his big ass. That's what it was. You know, I felt sorry for the guy.
It's I just don't understand it. It's like, and there's all these ones, and we're rambling, like, but
Yeah.
the weird ones, like, you know, there's one, you don't seem to say it anymore, but it's the 25 historical photos. The last one will make you cry.
Yeah.
The last one will shock you. So you're just like, that's like, well, whatever. Like,
You'll never believe what Biff from Back to the Future looks like now.
yes, and then you go for all this stuff, and it's like, right, okay.
Yeah. And then there's weird ones on Facebook that you get, and it's always about that guy out of Dragon's Den. What's he, Peter or something? And it's like, oh, you know, he'll have to leave the country because of this revelation. What? What's that?
Did you see the one about Bear Grylls?
It's always Bear Grylls. Bear Grylls' career is over after this astounding revelation.
What's that all about?
I don't know. I've never clicked
It's the
on it
most
because I know
bizarre.
it's
It's the most
nonsense.
bizarre thing. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
because that was doing because I remember during lockdown scrolling social media, you know, and it kept coming up with like Bear Grylls,
Bear Grylls.
Bear Grylls,
Yeah.
and then it was dads born between 1975 and insurance and stuff. You know,
Get insurance for as little as
25 embarrassing wedding photographs.
The 14th will shock you.
The 14th will shock you.
We'll be back next week with another podcast. Stay tuned. Remember, check out our website, weirdlyenough.com. We're on the socials. We talked about that earlier. Facebook and Twitter are the two that we use from time to time. You can send us messages on that. Podcast at weirdlyenough.com if you want to get in touch. We're on all the big podcast directories. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can find us on iTunes. That's Apple, isn't it? TuneIn Radio. I think we're on iHeart, all those platforms. So whatever your favorite way to listen to podcasts is, you'll find Weirdly Enough on there.
Thanks for listening to Weirdly Enough. Remember to subscribe to get the latest edition as soon as it drops. And don't forget to leave a review. Email us about anything we've discussed or with your own weird tale at podcast@weirdlyenough.com.